Last summer feels like a lifetime ago. Still miss you sometimes, but you'll never know. I wanna
How are you?
call
I'm
you,
good.
but
You
I'm
look
not
great.
gonna.
Oh, you're so sweet.
Oh my
I'm
God.
like
Just
the little
say
things to dress up for,
sorry
especially something I don't have to wear a mask
I'm
for,
losing track
is
of
amazing, you
all
know?
of the
The most I did was curl my
times
eyelashes.
I mean, you look gorgeous though. So I literally woke up and I was like, oh God, I'm just gonna play dress up for a sec.
Do we have a Sammy?
Sammy.
Oh, there he is.
Oh.
Oh, hi. Sorry. What's up?
How you doing?
Good.
So yeah, I wanted to talk about how to lose a friend today. We wrote this one together, Maggie, Sammy, and myself. We wrote it the day that we met, and that was
Got that. That was the
a
first
pretty
day.
good day, I think.
Mhm.
Yeah, it really was.
I remember I obviously really liked you, Sammy. I was like very nervous to see like what Mags would bring to the table, but I remember reading because I think, when you do these sessions, you get a little blurb about people.
Right.
And you kind of figure out from this blurb if you're going to get along with someone or not. And I saw that in your little bio, Mags, it said that you wrote a lot in Nashville. And I was like, yep, that's the one. That's who I want with. Anyone that's a country writer or like comes from those origins, that's what those are my people. And you came in and we instantly clicked. I think we cried like 3 times on that couch, the couch behind Sam.
Definitely did. I mean, I remember like
That
coming
counts.
in and just saying like I wrote down this line in my phone. I think it just said the last summer feels like a lifetime ago. And I said that to you and you started crying and I was like, whoa, like you know what I mean? It was really special because I think we wrote the song in the summer. I just gotten like a Craigslist like upright piano at home
Right.
and started like playing this little thing and just had that one line. I was like, I have no idea what this means. But sometimes it's crazy to see like a year later, like how different life is, or you're comparing like where you were then now, how you're feeling to where you are. And like when you said, I remember you saying, Wafia, like there are so many songs about breakups, but this loss is the most painful to me, losing a friend. And like, I don't feel like there are many songs that specifically touch on that. And instantly I was like, we have to write about it.
It was the first idea we did that day. Usually in a session, like it might be like the third or fourth idea that catches like a little bit of excitement in the room. But like Sammy, you hopped onto the piano and
Oh,
it started playing that riff. And then you sang that line, the last summer feels like a lifetime ago. And that was it. That was like, this is the song. This is the song we're writing today.
And I remember I was trying to do some kind of like complicated shit or whatever, and you're like, just stop, just don't do anything else, just do the those 2 chords, nothing more. And yeah, that was a special day. That was a special day for me for sure.
I love seeing how people connect to the song. Now that it's been out, I was just telling Mags like, I think about 2 weeks before I came into that session, someone reached out to me and said, "Hey, like I noticed that you're not following your friend, or like you're not posting posting photos together. Is everything okay?" And that just like got to me. Like I didn't realize that other people were aware of that. And this girl that reached out just happened to also be Arab, and so she really saw herself in us, and really admired our friendship. And so I was like, I was very honest with her. I was like, she's not my friend. I don't know why. I don't fully understand it. But I felt like I owed it to her. And so that kind of like sat in my heart for a while, like just this like grieving. And I think the song is about this particular friend, but also to me, it feels like the song has little vignettes in every verse that are about these different moments you have with someone. And as much as it is about this one particular friend, it also I feel like it touches on a couple of other friends that I've lost along the way. And the feeling is always the same. It's always like, why what did I do? Why am I not a good friend? Of inadequacy, of like, and you never get the closure on it, I think. And I think this song touches on it so well.
The cool thing about it too is if you listen to like the first verse through the first chorus, I feel like you can perceive it just as a breakup. You know what I mean? Like anyone who was close to you that you've lost in your life, that still is around, but like no longer in your life. And then when that second verse hits, I talk about it all the time. I'm like, that verse catches me still. Like every time you sing, I guess I won't be invited to the wedding. Like it literally destroys me. I think like, cause you know, we're all in our 20s, and it's like our friends that we grew up with or started to be friends with in like formative years, everyone's dating people now and like starting to kind of find their people and change or grow with people. And it's like, that's such a monumental thing, like your best friend's wedding, you know, like I feel like we've always thought about that. Like I think about my own, but I also think about like my best friends one day. And it's like, that image is just so, it just like wrecks me every time. Like, I don't know. You were talking about it and like, you're like, I always thought we would be in each other's weddings. And now to think like, I won't even be at hers. And I was like, oh my God, like that has to go in the song.
Well, like to not even know, like to not be the first person that she'll call if she's get engaged tomorrow. To not even have an update on someone's life is very it's very hard. I find that I still have trouble with this particular topic and song because I still don't have closure on it. I've like considered messaging her, but I feel unwanted. I was unfollowed on Instagram and everything, and our like little friend group and everything. And I feel like, why should I push someone to like explain themselves to me if, or like, I'm terrible at convincing myself, convincing anyone of me. I'm never like, hey, you should be my friend because I'm here and I did all these other things and remember our past. And I feel like if someone's not trying with me, I find it very hard to like make the effort because I know that it'll come from a place of loss. Like I will always give and like lose myself in the process of that. But you had gone through something similar, Max. You had told me about like high school and.
Definitely. I mean, growing up, mainly in middle school, I went through it in a way that really shaped my life. I mean, I was friends with the same girls for 10 years, and then like 7th grade, you know, they decided I was no longer welcome in that group. And it was like facing that at school every day is a total other side of it that, you know, probably a lot of your fans are going through that hear the songs. It's like obviously different now in the quarantine and everything, but having to be in a scenario where it's like, not only do you still exist, but I see you every day and I'm reminded that I'm not welcome in this friend group anymore. It's like, sounds trivial to look back on because I was so young and it was over things that were so silly, but like really shaped me in the way I was able to like let other women into my life, you know, and like female relationships, because it's like when you go through a breakup, like a romantic breakup, it's like, you know, you justify it. You're like, okay, well, we weren't right for each other and like the timing wasn't right. And like, you know, like there's someone out there that's better for both of us. Like there's so many things that we're like programmed to tell ourselves, but no one tells you how to lose a friend. You know what I mean? Like that's so true. It's like there's not a play-by-play for that, you know, and you have like these insecurities of like, well, why don't they like me anymore? Or like what went wrong? Or why like we're not committed to each other. We didn't like have expectations of like a forever, but like in a way you do, because it's like you just expect you're going to be in each other's lives, and then to have to sever that tie is like such a specific but like impossible to navigate subject that no one really touches on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I mean. My favorite songs are about subjects that are, you know, everyone goes through every day. but no one really touches upon. And it's so hard to kind of write that in a way that hasn't been done before. And it's so funny to me because we've all written a million love songs or breakup songs or been a part of songs like that. But I realized like I've never written a song of, actually, I don't think I've ever written a song about friendship as like simple as that sounds. And when you kind of stumble upon something so clear and simple, but also so like relatable, that's the kind of music that I want to make, you know what I mean? Because to me, it's like, you can listen to this song in 10, 15 years from now, and it will still have some relevance, you know what I mean?
So then when you were producing the song, like, you said you had tried a couple of other things. Like, what other things did you try, and like, how did you end up where the song is?
I tried so many versions. I tried, you know, like the classic, like overproduced drum version. There was like 5 of those. Then I did a lot of stuff where I was like trying to like reharm the song a bit and add some like chords, like the chorus, and like change up the chord progression. And every time I was just like, it's losing. Every time I started adding stuff, it was kind of losing something. I finally kind of just accepted the fact that this riff on the piano was the essence of the song, and to really just let the vocal and lyric kind of shine through. But I also wanted to have some development, and it was a challenge because it basically stays on 2 chords, except for this little like interlude in between the chorus, and then that comes back in the bridge. But it was a challenge. It's like the less is more thing. But once again, and we felt this way off with the vocal, because obviously we went through that phase where after I'd kind of solidified the production, Wafia, you know, because she's such a star and wants to make, you know, wants to work and work and work. She was like, I think I can beat the vocal. I think I can beat the vocal. Classic situation. And I mean, we were all in love with, that was the day of vocal. So you went in and did the whole day of vocals, and we got them back, and they sounded amazing, but it was like, I don't know, there's something a bit more real and just like in the moment with that day of vocal. So after some debate, we finally accepted that it was all about that day of vocal, which to me, it just speaks to the song, you know? It's like, it just adds to how special it is. And it was definitely, I don't know, I'm so proud of that song and the production, because it's just like you know, any good production is just trying to cater to the vocal and the song. And to me, like, when I hear that, all I want to do is listen to your voice and what you're saying. And so that's what I'm proud of.
That's why you're the best, Sammy, because, and I think I like texted you this too that day when it came out, and the strings, when those come in, I'm like,
shout out Rob. Yeah, Rob Moose killed it. He's incredible.
It's like so cinematic and like, but at the same time just so relatable. Like a lot of times, you know what I mean, like songs can either be taken to this level where it's like, oh, this feels like a movie, but it loses like the just tangible, like, I'm in my room listening to this and feel every word, you know what I mean? Like production, I feel like the less is more, like you said, is probably so much harder to accomplish. Yeah. Because you want the song to have movement and grow and like have these special moments, but like not take away from what it's saying. And that means so much to us, because like, you know, there are times you get songs back and you're like, you get taken out of it, you know what I mean? But that song, it just keeps you in that moment the entire time. You're just like locked into what Wafia is saying and how like beautifully vulnerable it is. And like, because it's a really vulnerable thing to talk about. I feel like a reason people don't is it's like to like be in that position where you're like, I lost this friend. I don't know what I did. Is something wrong with me? Did I do something? Like, am I someone people wouldn't want to be friends with? Like, that's such a vulnerable thing. But I have to say, even as like a new friend to you that day, Wafia, and meeting you, it's like, you were so kind and genuine and like refreshingly original and like all these wonderful things. And like, to hear you be so vulnerable about something like that and open, it made me feel like from that trauma for me from 10 years ago, I was like, if someone this beautiful and like wonderful as a person can have people that don't want to be friends with her, like for whatever reason, like I'm not someone who's unworthy of friendship either. You know what I mean? Like it was this thing where it's like to hear someone like you say that and just know you and know how special you are. It's like, you know, people just suck sometimes. Like it doesn't have to be a reflection of who you are.
Yeah, and I think like for me, it takes me back to a very like I'm in primary school all over again, and these girls don't want to sit with me. And it's maybe because I like brought like hummus or something to school, and I'm like, am I too weird? Am I too much? And I think that's how it is for everyone. It's like you didn't get picked. You didn't. And yeah, you know, I just wanted to touch back on Sammy the vocals, because I just want to say, like, you spent the whole day convincing me to use those vocals and not the new ones that I recorded. And I, upon reflection, like, you didn't have to do that. You could have just been like, okay, whatever. But you really believed, one, in the song, two, the phone calls. Like, we showed that song to my partner, with Mags, you sent it to John Hill, and I just appreciated how much time and care you took in like being like, this is really what it is. Yeah. It's really good. And you didn't have to do that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I obviously love the song deeply, but I was lucky enough to have guys like John Hill and Eric and Dylan and stuff around to kind of like, they were voice of reason too. They were like, dude, you're tripping, like telling you demo vocal. I'm like, okay. And I hate the term demo vocal because there's no such thing as a demo vocal, because this happens all the time. It's like, actually more often than not, I feel like it's the day of vocal. But it is a lot to accept that, and you kind of have to go, the same thing with the production too. It was like, so much of it was the day of production. You just have to like, it's okay to know that, like, you know what I mean? That like what you've done in that moment, there's a reason why you did it in that moment, and no need to mess it up. But it's good to go there, you know. It's good that you did that day of vocals, because then you'd always kind of be like, what if, you know, and you kind of have to do that and then come back.
Yeah.
But you got to surround yourself with people that can kind of like check you and be like, I don't know if I agree with you on that, you know?
You said something, I mean, between the two vocals, you said one sounds like a performance and the other sounds like, what was the word you used?
To me, the vocal that's on the record sounds like you're sitting on the couch and you're singing it to me, and I'm the only person that you're singing it to.
Wow.
Which is what that's like my dream vocal in terms of this type of song. Where versus the new vocal you cut sounded like, it probably sounded better. It sounded like a better vocal. But just because something's better doesn't mean it's right. And I think that it sounded more like you were performing the vocal, because you knew the song at this point and you were like killing it. It was like, you know, it was like you at the Brits or something trying to sing it. And it was like, that's cool and all, and I love that, and you killed it, but it was like, it lacked the intimacy of the Deo vocal. Mm. So it was hard to kind of accept that, you know.
Totally. But I found that this has been a recurring theme. I'll like go into these sessions and be like, it's just the demo vocal, I won't do doubles, I won't do whatever, and I'm really lazy. And I'll be like, that's it, that's good, we're good. Because I'm like, I'm going to devote a full day to this in the future where it's perfect. And then the day comes, and then every time, the demo was better.
Part of the magic, though, is that you're not putting the pressure on yourself. I think that's when vocalists feel that it's like, I'm in vocal. That's why I hate vocal booths. I fucking hate vocal booths. It's like, because then you're like, oh, it's time to cut the vocal. And you're like, oh, you know what I mean?
Yeah. You're like going to your isolation square. Like,
oh, no.
Yeah. I remember you sent it to me and you didn't say which one was which.
Yeah.
Like, which one do you like more? And I was like in Colorado or something and like listening on my phone, and I was like, this one feels like, I just felt it more
Yeah.
in my, you know, bones. Like,
Yeah.
you're like, you text me back and you're like, that's the day of, with a smiley face. I was like,
Yes.
Max, you were the deal breaker.
Yeah, you were the deal
I don't
breaker.
know. And Sammy was, you know who'd be great to ask? Maggie.
Yes.
oh.
Yeah.
Nine.
I know, I think you used that emoji, the like eye roll one, because I didn't realize this had been a conversation with multiple people before me. I was just like, oh yeah, this one sounds great, like having no idea the whole process. But what a like, special day. I mean, even us talking about it now, like the day in itself was just so special, you know, and like there's something about that emotion that I think comes across in the song still. It's like I've gotten messages from people I barely know just from posting about it, being like, this is exactly what I've been going through, and my emotions have been amplified in quarantine, and I've been so in my head, and this song makes me feel understood and like I'm not alone. And like I just think that's so special.
I also distinctly remember being like, you know what? I can't care if she hears the song or not. Like the line about can't even tell you I don't like your boyfriend. You haven't been you since you met him. I have never told her that. And it exists in the song. And I felt like we couldn't not include that line. I think that that's so true to friendships. It's like a lot of the time, not a lot of the time, but a lot of the time, sorry, there was a moth and I just flinched. But a lot of the time it like there's a new person involved. And a lot of friendships can end up broken because someone entered a new relationship that someone doesn't like. And I'm so glad that we didn't get in the way of that, or I didn't like let myself be like, oh, she's gonna hear this and she's gonna hate me forever. It's like the worst has already happened. You don't want to be my friend, so I may as well just put it all out there. And I think it's a risk that paid off.
It's interesting too, because as like a writer, being in sessions like constantly, and it's like, you know, that line about like your boyfriend, it's so specific, puts it into like, this is a female friend of mine who's now with this guy, you know what I mean? And like there's the voice in the back of your head that's like, oh, make it as universal as possible, you know what I mean? Like if you mention the boyfriend, it has to be a platonic relationship song, like whereas before, up until this point, it could be perceived that this is a romantic partner, you know what I mean? And like then like taking it even to the wedding line, it's like so specifically puts it in this very, very, very specific snapshot of a moment, that the fear when you do that is that you make it unrelatable because it's so specific to you. But in doing that the right way, it makes it so like specifically relatable to anyone who's been in that position, which is way more people than you even realize in that moment.
And I don't usually write like that at all. Like I always like try to do the whole thing where you keep it as open, or but just enough specificity makes it mine. It does like I can't give that song away. I can't give that song to someone else to sing. This is like mine to tell, and makes it all the more special, I think. You guys, thank you for doing this with me.
Of course. Anything for you, always.
I think kids will really love this and love to hear about all of this. And yeah, this is the song I get the most DMs about. I kid you not. And
that means a lot.
Yeah, and so they're always paragraphs long, you know. And I think that is like we've done our job. You know, we did it.
Yeah.
That's so beautiful. I love that you said they're paragraphs, because it's like literally like, and I don't get as many as you, because it's people have to know like, oh, like you wrote on this and then you found it in the credits or whatever. But like there have been a few random people that have reached out to me, and same deal, I haven't heard from in years, and it's like 3 paragraphs like, I went through this with this person, this has been happening in the past few months. And I'm like, whoa, like this is wild, you know, that all this time can go by and you can hear this and like just feel like, because you told your story so openly and so honestly, I feel like it prompts people to tell their own and to process that and like feel those feelings. And I don't know, I just think it's so beautiful, and you're so beautiful and such an incredible artist and soul, and literally like the dream to work with as a writer, because like storytelling is my favorite thing in the world, you know what I mean? Like, and you can't tell a good story if someone's not open and willing to tell one. So thank you for being that kind of artist and being willing to share something so personal.
Always with you guys, always. Seriously, I really appreciate this, and I love you both.
Of course. Love you too, Waf.
Okay.
Mags, love you. You're the best. Let's do another one, guys.
Let's make more.
On the
Let's do it. I'm down.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye.